Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Speak Up Sis YouTube channel for the Everyday Woman series. I thank you all for joining me nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time throughout the month of September. Today, we're on day 12. Can you even believe it? We're like almost, not quite, but almost halfway through the series. And if you have not been here, you have been missing lots of treats. Lots of treats. But that's okay because we are on YouTube, which means you can always catch the replay. If you're watching this in the replay, make sure you hashtag replay and let me know that you had an opportunity to see us tonight. Also, if you will, please go ahead and click the subscribe button and join our community. And also make sure that you click that notification bell to get updates so that you know when we're here and when we're coming live. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into what we came here for. I know y'all want to meet Miss Pamela Nichols. She's amazing. She is already a part of the Speak Up Sis community. She's an author on the bookshelf and all that good stuff. She's got lots of good stuff to talk about. So I want to move out of the way so that you all can meet her. But before we do that, I would like to thank our sponsor for today, and it is Miss Pamela Nichols, as well as the Inside Out book series. And so I want to share some information about the sponsor with you all before we get started. Real change happens from the inside out. This truth is represented in the 5 stories of the Inside Out series. The books feature characters with real life issues that require more than church as usual. Topics include eating disorders, depression, suicide, spiritual abuse, racism, and more. The series addresses faulty beliefs about God, beliefs that actually prevent inner healing. These untruths are often passed down through families. Some are even learned in church. You have all that you'll ever need. This spiritual truth is spoken by one character in each of the stories. Readers glimpse the behind-the-scenes work of the enemy and bear witness to heaven's faithful intercession. The characters face a question that we must also answer. Are we willing to do the work that victory requires? Because real change happens from the inside out. Inside Out books 1 and 2 are available on the Speak Up Sis bookshelf and on Amazon. Visit Pamela Nichols on Facebook to sign up for updates on the series. Thank you so much, Pamela, as well as the Inside Out series for sponsoring day 12 of the Everyday Woman series. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of the sponsors who have sponsored days thus far. It helps to make this an affordable venture and opportunity for the women to come and share. So thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and bring up the woman of the night for the evening. I don't like that woman for of the night thing. How about I don't like that.
Woman of the evening.
Let's bring up the woman of the evening or the hour. When I said it, I was like, ooh, I don't like that. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing well, sis. It's good to see you again. It's good to be here. I've enjoyed this series. I really have.
Yes, it has been amazing. I'm glad I've seen you in the comments, checking out some of the other women. And I just want to say thank you for that. Even a lot of times we get so used to everything being about us. I'm going to show up on my day. I'm going to show up on my day. until we forget to show solidarity, right, for one
Right,
another, and
right.
show up for each other.
Right, right. The
So
stories have been awesome, and Miss Delphine just shook something loose last night, didn't she? Oh my gosh.
yes, she did. So listen, it's your time. So I'm going to
Okay,
move out of the way and give you the floor. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it.
Hello, everyone. I am glad to be here tonight to share with you about red flags, something that I am learning about. I am learning that the people that we allow into our life, they are so critical, and they can change the trajectory of our life if we're not careful. And I'm so serious about that. I personally believe that next to the decision about what we're going to do about Jesus Christ, the people that we let into our heart is the second most important decision you can make. And this has happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you all too. You've had a relationship. I'm not just talking about romantic, I'm talking about friendship too. And everything seemed good. And then all of a sudden, there's a lot of bitterness. There's a lot of acrimony. There's a lot of stuff going on. And you start seeing red flags that you did not see before. I know why that happened. I know how that happened. I'm going to share a story from my life. When I was in the sixth grade, at my last class of the day, this girl named Michelle walked up to me and she says, Pam, I heard, and she mentioned the names of these girls that I hung out with. I'm not mentioning their names because I can't even remember them, but I always walked home from school with them. And she says, I heard them talking, and they said that they were going to beat you up after school and leave you in the swamp. And the swamp was this group of woods that we walked around on the way home from school. But apparently they were going to get me to go into the swamp, beat me up, and leave me there. Because I remember her distinctly saying they were going to beat you up and leave you in the swamp. Now, at this point in my life, my home life was just not good at all. Every type of abuse you could go through, I have experienced and was experiencing at that time. So as a young child, when that happened, I walked away with two things that I knew were true. That people who love you, because again, the abuse that I was going through was, some of it was my parents, some of it was other people, but my parents didn't know about it. And so the two lessons I walked away with were that people who love you will hurt you. And they will allow things to happen to you because they are so consumed with what's going on in their lives that they don't see it. And that your friends, sometimes they're not really your friends. And these were hard lessons for me as a child. And I took those lessons into adulthood. And if you had told me years ago that something that happened to me as a child would still be running the script behind the scenes of my life, I would not have believed you. My first thought would have been like, I'm not a serial killer. I'm not a psychopath. I mean, this was just a little thing. It wasn't a big thing. But my brain hooked onto that, and it fed a script that continued to run into my life for decades. So as a young child, what I did was, in order to protect myself, I put up a wall. And in my young thinking, that wall was to protect me. It was to stop people from getting in to hurt me. And it worked for a while. But then I noticed, and I'm noticing this in hindsight, that the walls that I built to protect me eventually became my prison. And what had happened was the self-talk that I was doing, it eventually changed. It changed from, they hurt me, that was wrong, I don't want to feel this again, and no one is ever going to hurt me. It changed from that language to, nobody likes you, you deserve that, it's never going to change. Okay, so at that point, two things happened. The way I connect with people changed. None of my friendships they were all superficial, because it's hard to connect with someone when you don't know who you are. It's hard to connect with someone when you don't know how to vet people. I'm not vetting people because I'm not letting them in because I'm afraid of being hurt, and I've got these walls up. That is primarily why I did not see red flags in my life. Okay. I had a counselor who once told me that if you are unhealed, a red flag just looks like a flag. You just see a flag waving and you just go run after. You do not realize that that red flag is danger, because you don't see it as a flag. And that's biblical, actually, because in Psalm 27, I believe it actually says, hold on, I got my little notes here. To the hungry, even the bitter is sweet. To the hungry, even the bitter is sweet. So look at what is happening here. By this point, I'm a young woman, and I have friendships. I have a romantic relationship, but I don't know how to vet people because I haven't done the work. I haven't been willing to do the work to change and correct what's going on in my heart. So I'm just accepting people as they come. Okay. And that script is still running in my head that says people who love you are going to hurt you. People who love you are going to hurt you. You can't change people, and that's never going to change. And that is running in my head. And so you can imagine the kinds of people that I am attracting. Okay. So there are going to be two reasons that you don't recognize the red flags in your life. And one of them is, again, because you're broken inside and you're unhealed, and your lower brain, your subconscious, is accustomed to and is seeking after the usual, even if it's painful, which is why sometimes you will see people making the same mistakes over and over again. That is why I have made the same relational mistakes over and over again. My lower brain is too afraid to do the work or to step outside of the box and do what I need to do to get healed. The lower brain wants comfort, even if it's painful. Don't rock the boat. This is how it always is. And the second reason that I didn't recognize red flags, and I'm just going to be honest, it's because I did not invite God into that equation. When we are hurt, our emotions are driving the bus. Our emotions, our loneliness. We want someone here. We want to be in a relationship. We want friends. We want this person to like me. So that's going on. And then but if you can be absolutely sold out for God. You can love God and still make these kinds of relational mistakes. Ask David, ask Samson. It is absolutely possible. This is why you must vet anyone that you're going to let into your heart. And not everybody is supposed to get into your heart. I have some of my friends who are watching tonight, and anyone who really knows me knows that Anne of Green Gables is my favorite story of all times. I read it almost every year. I've been reading it for years. And in it, Anne Shirley has a friend, Diana Berry, and she always says, me and Diana are kindreds. She doesn't call them best friends, they're kindreds. This is a person you let into your heart. You should not have a whole lot of those. You don't have the energy for a whole lot of those. But again, if you're not properly vetting people, if you are just opening the door and letting anybody walk in with their muddy footprints all over your spirit, you think you have a lot of kindreds, and you don't. And when we say we want to qualify and vet the people that we have in our life and in our hearts, this is not a license to think more highly of ourselves than we ought to. We're not judging other people and where they are. We're not saying we're better than anybody else. But I think even in the scriptures, Jesus is a perfect example of that. He loves the whole world, but then he has his 12. And then out of that 12, he has 3. Then out of that 3, he has 1, the one that he loved. That's what he even called himself. Okay, so this is scriptural. We have agency. We need to accept the ownership of our lives. And that really means, along with our spiritual, the physical, who we're going to allow in our circle. So now that we know how we how these red flags got by us in the first place, let's talk about what red flags are. There are some things that, I mean, even without explanation, anyone that is close to you should not be involved in certain things. And then you are allowed to have your own things that don't work for you. Um, so let's do some examples. Your best friend. Your best friend in the whole world, your hang partner, the girl you hang out with, she should not be cheating on her husband. I'm just putting that out there. That's you know, the person that you hang out with most at work. It should not be the laziest person in a department with the worst work ethic and the person who gossips all the time. That should not be the person that is in your heart. Love them. I'm not saying you talk down or treat them badly, but you're going to find if you let this person or these kind of people get too close, when you know this, that red flag is gonna show up down the road. And I think that is really all that I have. I am excited about that. This is something that is kind of new to me. I think only in the last 5 or 6 years have I been aware of the red flags in my relationships and doing the work I need internally to be the kind of person who chooses correctly and then to choose correctly. And I did want to say something about suppose you're going through a situation now and you find that you're in a relationship or in a friendship that has to end. I would implore you to do it gracefully with love. I don't understand when people have relationships and they end up and they just blow up. If ever I have loved someone, I will always truly love them. And if I find for whatever reason that I have to back away, I'm going to do it with love. I'm going to have the hard conversation if I can. But it's not going to be one of these things where we were friends or we were involved on Tuesday, but on Thursday, I'm putting all your business out there. Yeah. I don't understand that. Give people the grace they need to change, believe that they can change, love them from afar, but do the work that you have to do to vet the people in your life. We have total agency. This can change our lives. The way that we treat others, it can actually change the world. Because I was thinking the other day that middle school Pam, who was in so much pain, if suppose there had been people around my parents who loved them, who called them out if they had to, and change their hearts, and something in there changed something in my household. You know, it's possible. It's possible that someone is watching your godly example, and it will click something. It will start a work of God in their heart that will change someone else's life. Okay? Thank you for listening. I was excited to share that. Red flags don't just show up. They've been there from the beginning. I had a conversation with a friend, and she's involved with a young man, and she said, you know what? Our first conversation, I saw a red flag. I just chose to ignore it, but I saw it from the get-go.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my goodness. This might be a Speak Up Sis podcast conversation, Pamela.
Really?
We may have to revisit this one because I believe that oftentimes when we talk about red flags, we don't typically talk about the platonic relationships and the friendships.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you brought some things to the light tonight that will cause a lot of people to really sit back and to think about red flags. And honey, I was all in the comments tonight because when you said the people that you hold in your heart that are the closest to you should not be the people doing the most dirt.
Exactly.
I was like, whoo, you done open up some people mailboxes.
I am grateful that I have real friends. I have 3 real friends that if I do something, they tip Pam, that won't right, girl. And we've got to stop justifying people's craziness just because we love them. If you really love them, call them out.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I also noticed something else. I was taking notes in the comments. I also noted that one of the latter things you said, give them grace, know and believe that they can change, and then allow them the space and the opportunity to change. I think that is huge. And we could totally spend hours dissecting that. But a lot of times we'll say, give people grace, but we also need to believe that they can change. And if you believe a person can change, then we can do like you said,
Right.
and release them with love, because you're believing. You don't want to burn this bridge. You don't want to forever be away from this person because you believe they can change. You're just going to give them some space to do that. Girl, let me tell you, I
Exactly.
could throw something right now.
And the thing with that is, I still love you, but I love myself more. That's it. And that was one thing I forgot to say in this teaching. Whereas when I was a child and younger, I put up walls. Now I don't put up walls. I erect boundaries. And that's a boundary is different than a wall.
That's right. And we use walls as boundaries, but they don't have to be, right? Our boundaries don't have to be walls, and they probably shouldn't be. You know, you said so much good stuff. I'm going to have to go back and rewind this, because even at the very beginning, when you said that a lot of times we don't see or understand the red flags because we've had these walls. You haven't given yourself time to get to know people.
You
If
don't
you
know
got a
people.
wall up and nobody can touch me, nobody can come near me, stay away from me, stay away from me, you never learn how to interact with people so that you can use the discernment. Guys, like God gives you discernment, but you don't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
Because you've never really interacted with people. And so when you said you can love God and still not see these red flags, it's not that God hasn't given you discernment. You just don't have the skill.
The skill set.
Girl.
Relationships take work. Platonic friendships take work. Romantic relationships take work. And you got to get in there and have hard conversations. And if your voice is the only thing you're used to listening to, you're not going to do that.
Not going to do that.
You're not going to do it.
Whew, listen, we are past our time tonight. I could totally sit and have this conversation with you like for hours, but we're not going to do it tonight because I am trying to make sure that I respect the time. I tell people that each of you get 15 minutes. They won't be here any longer than 25 minutes altogether. And right now we're sitting at 23. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you so much, Pamela. You came in and dropped so many nuggets that I'm sure we will revisit in some other spaces. I thank you so much for saying yes to the Lord, to say yes to me, to come into this space and share a little bit of yourself and teach us some things all at the same time. So thank you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you. You know that.
Most def. All right, everyone. I want to also thank our sponsor for tonight, the woman that you see, Ms. Pamela Nichols. She is the author of the Inside Out book series. And I want to remind you all that you can contact her at pamelawrites@hotmail.com. It's been scrolling at the bottom. Reach out to her if you would like to grab her books. You can reach her through Speak Up Sis bookshelf. You can get her books on Amazon, or you can just email her directly, and I'm sure she can get some books in your hand. Or if you want to have her come speak on your platform or anything like that, just connect with her at pamelawrites@hotmail.com. And with that, sis, we are out for the night. You take care, and y'all come back tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
13. Yes. Because we've got LaToya Washington. She another heavy hitter who's going to be in the building. So you definitely want to be here for that. All right. So y'all have a good night. Until tomorrow.
Good night, y'all.
Bye. Bye.